Inflam-X and cell defense. Cell defense is the most powerful anti-inflammatory that you can get, and the broadest spectrum anti-inflammatory is Inflam-X. Topically, curcumin. We use our Magna Smooth if you have chronic inflammation. Omega fatty acids, omega 369, very important with a GLA for hormone support for women that say have polycystic ovarian disease, menopausal, omega 369. Omega Supreme for heart, I recommend taking one Omega Supreme twice a day. The big soft gels and the Omega Supreme Krill, probably 2 of those capsules first thing in the morning. If you want to stop vascular disease, the astaxanthin, we have the only source in the world that has a completely patented technology for getting the astaxanthin. All the forms of krill basically have destroyed the astaxanthin, so it may look rich, but the astaxanthin is virtually gone. The same way as our nutraceuticals. When I had a recent discussion with one of our listeners over a period of time, and they're actually going to a clinic for IV glutathione. Now, we use IV glutathione in our hyperbaric clinic in Denver back 10 years ago, but the fact is our cell detox glutathione, which is a capsule, in head-to-head studies is more powerful than IV glutathione. It lasts longer, has a longer half-life, and there's no other company has an equivalent of NUTRIMEDICAL, long-acting alpha-lipoic acid. Regenerex, an amazing formula for a number of enzymes to protect your cells from damage. So let's talk about the Omega Supreme Krill, Omega Supreme, which by the way is from anchovy and sardine. Our technology for making these is so clean, if you bite into them, there's never, I mean never, if you find one that has a fishy taste, we'll pay for the whole bottle. There is none, ever will be. No brackish kind of, we call fish burps. And of course, you can't have rancid fatty acids if you're going to protect your artery walls in your brain. Neurogen, which is DHA 200 milligram soft gels from algae, docosahexaenoic acid. This is by law, by the way, included in all baby formulas in Japan and has been for over 20 years. The research was done in America, and it's not law in America for many years. Recently, they're realizing, oh, if you want your child to develop, and we just to mothers wanting to have a smart baby, you need to take phospholipids like Nutrifos, omega fatty acids, and Neurogen if you want to have your baby have lots of neurons and lots of neural connections, meaning lots of myelination connecting different pathways in their brain. So let's talk about Neurogen, Nutrifos, omega fatty acids for a minute, because this is a big deal. A lot of people kind of sign it and think it's not important, or I can buy that at Walmart, or I can get it somewhere else. No, you can't get the quality that we have here. It's not possible.
Well,
this is out of their league.
Yeah, the essential fatty acids, I go first on this Omega Supreme Krill, which is one of the newest releases, where people will think, oh, I think there's something similar, you know, retail or what have you. And again, we emphasized this yesterday as well as the purity in which this product is developed, where there's no chemicals being used in the extraction process, allows for a high yield phospholipid, absolutely pure, no spiking of this product with additional like EPA, DHA, or astaxanthin, which actually ends up causing problems in the way that it works. So bringing down inflammation, dealing with cardiovascular issues, including inflammatory processes like lipoprotein small a, and it's also been shown to have helping to sensitize the body with regards to glucose sensitivity and bringing down hemoglobin A1C. It is a very, very powerful formulation that there's nothing like in the marketplace, that Omega Supreme Krill.
Yeah, it really is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of our formulas. People say, what do you do, Dr. DEAGLE? Well, if I want to substitute a meal, I have 2 scoops of glycemics, 1 scoop of ageless life support, make a big blender, and that's my breakfast and lunch. In fact, I have a container in one of my big thermoses that doesn't have ice cubes, so it won't clink together, that has that on my desk. So if I'm so busy in the morning, between answering emails in my hyperbaric chamber and doing other things, that's what my dinner is. And I have a scoop of NutriComplete, 2 scoops of glycemics, and a scoop of ageless life support. I'll throw in some frozen blueberries, water, and perhaps some coconut almond milk, a few ounces of that in there, along with our filtered pure water system water, which is Fukushima-free, I call it, Fukushima-free. Ageless includes immunoglobulins, by the way, lactoferrin and colostrum, grabs free iron, what we call the iron time bomb. Free iron can damage your neurons and stimulates the Fenton reaction, causes vascular disease, neurological disease, and can cause mitochondrial and cellular aging. It also rebalances the immune system with the immunoglobulins in there, lactoferrin and colostrum. The ageless, of course, is a recipe, protein, digestive enzymes, and all of these other things, including SGS, the sulforaphane glycosinolate, the most powerful stimulant for phase 2 detox. The life support has all the phase 2 cofactors for detoxification, methylation, sulfation, etc., plus all the activated vitamins, plus all the other things. So the combination is amazing. Then we add glycemics, the most powerful blood sugar normalizing whole meal drink you can make. And then NutriComplete, which is better than juicing. It has goji berries, it has probiotics, it has so many things in it, it's just amazing. Let's talk about NutriComplete in our full meal formulas, because people get addicted to these and they order them by the case. And of course, there's been times when we've been a little short because we were increasing production. It was amazing how people would panic. Like, next time I'm ordering a dozen, you know, and they do. They order a case of them because they love it so much. It becomes part of their life. They realize that, hey, I'm not going to eat bacon and eggs. I'm going to have ageless life support and glycemics for breakfast, and I'm going to get healthier, because they don't want to go down the grisly pathway of polypharmacy and have their doctor tell, well, it's too bad, you know, we got to give you injections of insulin, and it's too bad we're going to put you on a dozen for cardiac and other drugs, and it's too bad you can't remember where your keys are because you're becoming demented from all the damn drugs we're giving you.
Now, people fall in love with those shakes. They should have them on their shelves. They're a great thing to go to for when you first wake up in the morning. You're not good at eating breakfast. You know, you want to make sure you're using like glycemic meal or life support or ageless. It gets you off to the right start, gets your blood sugar off to the right start, but they have such great therapeutic values to work on your immune system, help with detoxification, again, weight loss, regulating the blood sugar issues in the body, and then something like NutriComplete, which is your greens and reds in a totally organic formulation that's designed to provide a long-lasting, powerful antioxidant effect into the body, can enhance any one of these shakes or be used as a standalone for people. And they're all, you know, people fall in love because they do so many things for people. It makes them feel wonderful all at once.
Yeah, the other thing is we get people that have dysautonomia, male and female problems with hormone imbalances. By the way, part of the hormone imbalances is the crazy shit in blood, things like insulin, fatty acids. If you want if you want to decrease the stress in your adrenal glands, etc., glycemics is very important. Calm Mind, which is, of course, the sunthein and L-theanine, myoinositol, and GABA. This is amazing. I take 2 scoops at bedtime, and I can tell I wouldn't be without it. And I'd be able to back off on my other sleep nutraceuticals tremendously. During the day, if you're tense or if you're having, you know, hot flashes, it's helping tremendously. The other thing, of course, with hot flashes is to get on mitothyroid, because it has hypothalamus, adrenal, and thyroid. And it will replace your thyroid medications, but you want to measure your core body temperature. Take selenium and Nutridyne, or selenium cruciferate. One of those popular things that people take, and then we talked about this in the first hour, was we have people with chronic obstipation. And I have a trivia question. Do you know what John Wayne and Elvis Presley died of? They died of impacted colon. Exactly. You are brilliant. Obstipation, it's called. Well, first thing, the medical student, I was asked by the nurses, they thought it was real funny. I had to disimpact somebody who was dying of obstipation. He was actually probably thought he was going to die within the next 72 hours. And they thought he couldn't be disimpacted. And I removed over 40 pounds of impacted stool from this man. With a smell that would stop a pathologist mid-autopsy. Let's put it that way, a smell that was that bad. It was thought that John Wayne, when he died, actually had 40 pounds of impacted stool in him. Same with Elvis Presley. It was this crazy diet and this lifestyle that caused him obstipation. What happens is reabsorbing all the toxins. Colon cleanse, by the way, is one of the best things, along with our probiotics, Living Probiotic Ultra, for normalizing the bowel. Colon cleanse will move the dead, as they say. And tell us what's in it, because I tell people, if you're getting constipated, and you may even still be having normal stools, but you still be having, as they say, too many cars in the rail yard. Let's put it that way, that analogy. In other words, one rail car leaves, one car arrives at the rail yard, which is your lower colon, but there's a heck of a lot of cars in the rail yard, and you're all bloated up, and you're building up mucus plaque. There's nothing like colon cleanse for cleaning that out.
It is a very powerful, fast, effective formula. Just 1 or 2 caps before you go to bed, and people will be very impressed.
Yeah, amazingly impressed. They will find, my gosh, did I lose that much weight? And they'll be embarrassed by how much weight they've lost by clearing out all this stuff. And by the way, all those reabsorbing are being remobilized, going to your breast, your brain, your liver, your kidneys. and they're being deconjugated by gut bacteria in your lower bowel. So just being obstipated isn't just that, oh, I could die of constipation. No, no. You can remobilize toxins that can cause cancer, autoimmune disease, and dementia by being chronically obstipated. It's very, very bad for you. I guess we should have a little subtitle on the bottle: Constipation Kills. Take this every day. Back in a moment with hour 3. You don't want to miss it.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson.
Well, this is round 2 of recording this. Hopefully this will be okay for you guys. I was thinking about reading what Paul Begley had reported on. That seemed very important. You don't need to look at the screen at all tonight after I post this. I didn't want to miss this again, so that's why I caught the last part of hour 2. So, I don't know. Let's see what we can do here. We don't want to miss anything. My goodness. So just go and clean your house. Do whatever chores you need to do. Remember, again, it's a 3-day weekend. The banks aren't open on Monday. Some are open on Saturday if you need to get money or do something. And let's see what's going on here. Oh. Alrighty then, we're going to have this all freeze up. See if I can get another in here. Still a commercial. Let's see if I can. I hate to try to do this while we're going, but let me see if I can. Can't see anything. Oh, standby. There, that's clearer. I don't know how I'm able to do that blindfolded.
Welcome back to the NutriMedical Report, and we have some amazing reports for you, analysis and questions. The most important thing you can do when you listen to our program, or any program, is to ask better questions. And we try to vet the information we provide. We also try to qualify it so that you understand our sources and the reason why our analysis arrives at certain conclusions. And joining us on every Friday for our Preparedness, Civil Defense, Earth Changes Hour, we have John Moore, who has his own program over at Republic Broadcasting, 7 to 9 a.m. TheLibertyMan.com is his website, TheLibertyMan.com. Our scientist, Ann Morrison, Homeland-Defense, 4U.com. Earthquakes, sinkholes, atmospheric and space weather changes occurring to the planet, volcanism and earthquakes. And of course, John's an expert as well on Earth changes. He has contacts being in former special forces. He's currently a forensic investigator, so he uses lots of rules of finding evidence and verifying. So, John, you have some new breaking news that you want to mention, and some pretty significant conclusions to make based on that evidence. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yes, sir. Well, since last Friday when we were visited, my confidential source is mine, and I'm also working with another investigator, Doug Hagman, who's with the Northeast Intelligence Network, and Steve Quayle as well. All three of us have independent sources that are saying the third week of October there will be an event severe enough that it will be a contrived economic event, severe enough that there will be also a bank holiday, civil disorder, and United Nations troops called in to restore order. The consequence of all that being there will be no election in November. We hope this doesn't happen. At the moment, see no way around it. The Russian troops are here. The Chinese troops are just below the southern border. And they're not here for a good reason. They're not here to help us and be our friends. They're here because they're our enemy and to exercise their control under a martial law scenario. So
yeah.
that's where we are, and that's where we're headed, sir.
Yeah, and you know, if we just look at it boldly, we don't. You know, there was a nice speech that Romney put on last night. It wasn't nice what they did to Ron Paul. I think that indicates they want to do rule changes so nobody can ever have a Ron Paul type revolution there. We do not definitely want Obama. I think no matter what government we have, we could do better with Adolf Hitler than Obama. But what we have is a situation of it's better or awful. The situation is, though, one of the globalists they try to do is try to prove to each other, because of their timing and specific dates or some architecture or means of communication, that they're in control. The real big lie is these fools aren't in control, and they really have, in many cases, done stupid things that there's a lot of, you want to call, infighting occurring at the top.
Right.
And that's why we get leaks from things like Homeland Security. That's why we have the Homeland Security and other agencies. That's why we have the IDF years ago decided not to go along with the Israeli plan. I have no problem with them getting control through various forms of heavy diplomatic avenues to go in there with an exploratory team to neutralize the RDX and high explosive and VX nerve gas in Syria. But promulgating a revolution against Assad, who is not a standing enemy of America, is just stupid when you're going to replace it with an enemy who's most likely to use weapons. There's 15 major banks. 5 really giant banks in America are teetering if the European debt crisis hits the fan. It already is. It's hitting the fan now. The Spanish and the Italians cannot service their debt. The European Central Bank gives them the money, and the German government has basically outlawed the German government, even if they wanted to print it, and even if they gave them all the money they had, it's not enough to resurrect Europe.
Right.
The European Central Bank and these bankers, their solution to the problem is to bring about world war, which is why NATO, which is primarily Europe, and the bankers and America, and by the way, it's both Obama and Romney have backed war. Now, war is not the solution. We can do hard negotiations. The best war, as anybody in the military knows, is not one that you fight, but one that you show with such outstanding strength, strategy, and logistics, the other side doesn't even want to fight. They obviously didn't read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So it means we have morons at the top that don't realize you don't build down your military like Obama 90%. You don't have people that just categorically say, we're just going to attack them and see what happens, how many people die in the whole procedure, like so far what I heard from Romney. But we do know that an economic chaos is coming. We know that at the very least by January, we call the fiscal cliff, $500 billion will be withdrawn from the U.S. economy. That means, according to economic experts, 2 million jobs will disappear next year. Now, I think that Obama is teetering. I would have said before, even a few weeks ago, is teetering. I would have said before, even a few weeks ago, that Obama was pretty well shoo-in by 78%, and they even had Soros buy out the electronic voting machines, but they can only tilt the vote by some 100%, 6-7%, before it becomes too obvious in any one district. So, with the addition now of Ryan and the jobs message rather than the message, and this is the clearest part of the message last night from Romney, was Obama said he was going to prevent the rising of the oceans and save the planet. I'm here just to help you and your families. And that will resonate with the average American that can just see, oh my gosh, I lost $4,000 in income per year since Obama's in. I want a job, and I don't want to be taxed anymore.
Right.
And Ryan has a policy, by the way. Ryan does have a clue on how to balance the budget. And by the way, you can print more money, just like in Nazi Germany before they went crazy, and not have austerity fascism like Ron Paul talks about, that you have to, quote, balance the budget even on people's necks. Ayn Rand I'm not a fan of Ayn Rand. She's an anti-religionist. She's an anti-God person. I don't think that Ayn Rand is a real template for what we want to do. It's basically Austrian austerity fascism, which is what kept the royals in power for centuries during the Middle Ages. So I'm not a fan of that. I do have that I feel that the idea that we are controlled, disentangle ourselves from being an empire is ridiculous. But it doesn't mean we have to entangle ourselves in stupid wars. For example, our interactions in many cases can just be a tough phone call.
That's right.
It can be a policy. It can be not transferring technology to our potential enemies. It can be not selling jets to the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris that are potential enemies of Israel. It can be an idea of calling up Bashar Assad and say, I'm sorry we killed your people. We supported these maniacs that are killing your citizens and your soldiers, but we're going to bring in a combined task force, and we need to stabilize and make sure these weapons are safe, and we'll leave some people in place that'll make sure they're safe. And you can keep them in your own country. We just want to make sure they're safe, and you're not going to use them against your citizens or against us. We're not going to invade. We're going to verify that. That would solve the problem. Same with Iran. Do they think that they can just go waltz in and hit Iran and they're not going to have a backwash of biological weapons, missiles coming at countries like Poland and other countries that are supposed allies of NATO without a backwash of biological weapons, nuclear weapons, etc.? No. This is not. You count, as they say, there's no winners in war. There is just what's left.
Well,
right?
The majority of casualties in every war are innocent men, women, and children.
Right.
That's true of every war since we've had records of war.
So it's okay to talk tough, but you actually have to talk smart. And there's a heck of a lot of difference between talking tough and smart and talking tough and stupid.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And a real military general, just like we had James Hutchins, who is a brigadier general on Tuesday, and he's with the Jerusalem Connection. He agrees with me totally on our policy. We need to talk tough and do stuff. We need to go into Syria and make sure those weapons are. We need to make sure those rockets are named from Hezbollah. We need to make sure that Muslims in America aren't teaching 5 pillars of Islam in 1/4 of the mosques in the United States. I have no problem with Americans being Muslim as long as they do not adhere to jihad. This is a no jihad zone.
Well, how about no Sharia law zone?
No Sharia, the same thing. No Sharia law zone. This is something that's not negotiable.
How about not having sex with your dead wife for 7 hours?
Exactly. Isn't that disgusting? There's a whole lot of things that I think are so obscene about various aspects.
How about mainstream Islamic clerics coming out against female circumcision? I've never heard it.
No. What we have to do is we need to get real. And we have to also realize who our friends and enemies are. And the Russians and Chinese are not our buddies, and neither is Islam. But we can still live in a peaceful world without being victims, and without spending our entire budget, and without building down our military to make ourselves vulnerable.
Well, we went to commercial. I'm going to read some of the headlines from Paul Bagley 34 channel. Because some of these are important. I listened to them, but this is from Pastor Paul Bagley. Let's see, he reported 14 hours ago, 3 dead in New Jersey shooting in store. And it says 3 dead, including the shooter, a 23-year-old ex-Marine wearing full body armor, packing an AK-47 in a shooting in New Jersey. Then he reports about the tsunami warnings in the Philippines, 7.9 quake, and that was 14 hours ago. And it was a heads up to Taiwan, Japan, Guam, and also Hawaii. I don't have any updates on that. Also, 50,000 need to evacuate Louisiana floods. That was 24 hours ago. Yesterday. Technically, now that we're after midnight. Then he talked about crucifixions in Yemen. They're actually crucifying Christians in Yemen. It's still coming out. It's terrible. Then he talks about, he calls it an urgent prophecy. Norway quake 6.6. Also, America has a record 1,590 cases, 1,590 cases of West Nile. leaving 66 dead. Also Hurricane Isaiah in New Orleans, and California swarms of quakes. We reported on that. This is one of the most important ones. He also talks about the microchip is coming soon. He showed something off of Eye Opener, off of, I believe it's CNN. And he was showing how there in Ohio, there's a company where they're using microchips in the employee's arm. They're being microchipped because Big Brother, this is what one of the employees said, Big Brother has to keep an eye on their stuff, their important records. He's still so that's going on now in Ohio. And then the guy's wife got chipped because she has allergies. So she was microchipped, and they showed them chipping her in the arm. And then there was also, they were talking about for medical reasons to monitor you. They're going to also put microchips in your pharmaceutical drugs. That was okayed by the FDA. So they can see if you're taking your pills properly. So they got some kind of okay to put microchips in the pharmaceutical drugs.
Just look at the timeline of all the things.
He's back.
You pull a lot of information together from various sources. A lot of people have tried to accuse you of saying, you said that this Planet X was coming in and it didn't, and all these things that happened. You never said a date. You never said a date. You had one source. I actually got an iPhone picture from the Southern Hemisphere the last few days that actually shows a picture showing the incoming, I don't know if they photoshopped it, but it's exactly like the picture you'd expect to see if you had a red dwarf star coming in and not too far off of line, so many degrees offline of the sun, with a plasma field on either side they call the winged dragon. That's what it was called, the ancient cartouche in Egypt. And a lot of people say, well, you're not putting the dates as to when it's coming. I don't know, but I know that they're visualizing it. We have had astronomers in Brazil with the South Pole Telescope, others, IRAS, the Chandra X-ray Telescope, and by the way, the Arecibo, which is not a visual telescope, it's one of these radio telescopes. They can see it. Okay, so the fact is, it's coming in. We're also in an energetic part of the galaxy, which is increasing energy to the planet. Now, if you talk to people like Stan Deo and others, there's very good evidence that the actual size of the planet Earth was probably about a third smaller at the time before the ancient destruction of Pangaea, which means in ancient times the Earth was considerably smaller, and then it expanded like a Christmas bulb after being spun by a glass blower. That the breakup of the continents, and the first time I ever saw it, and I said, well, this looks interesting. Some America and Africa would fit together, but the Earth looks like a bigger balloon. The sinkholes, and I want you to talk about this, Ann, the sinkholes are probably tied to the fact that there's some major Earth changes occurring. Tectonics are shifting, sinkholes are occurring, the energetics of the inside of the planet is increasing, volcanism everywhere is increasing underneath the Gakau Range, 1,500 kilometer long range of mountains as high as the Swiss Alps in the Arctic. And on top of that, we're having a lot more cosmic background radiation that's increasing rainfall, forming micronuclei. Increased energetics is also driving the nuclear reactor we call Earth, because it's a nuclear reactor with a crust on it and a thin blue line of air with a magnetic field around that protects us from the cosmic background radiation, gamma rays, and zeta particles, etc., that would otherwise make life impossible. So, according to Stan, and I think that there's some pretty good evidence to this, that the Earth actually has tectonic plates that float on oceans of oil that's abiotic for the nuclear reactor of the Earth, that the planet, in fact, is bigger than it used to be. The atmospheric pressure, according to biblical and other records, and we've talked about this, is probably half what it used to be, and the magnetic field is 1/100th what it was at the time of the dinosaurs, and probably as little as 1/20th what it was even at the time of Babylon. Our magnetic field has dropped dramatically, and when you combine that with cosmic and other events such as a returning red dwarf star, we live in a very violent universe that has cyclical disasters that come and strike our civilizations and crush us. Any comments, John?
Well, that's well documented, and you can go through 6 years of education and graduate with a 4-year college degree, and fully believe that once you get back 6,000 years in human history, we could barely figure out how to herd goats when exactly the opposite is the case, because when you go back 12,000 years, our ancestors could split the atom and go into space both.
Right.
And that's well documented and well known among anybody who looks at archaeology seriously.
Right.
So they're hiding our true history as human beings occupying the planet.
We're not genetically different from our ancestors 6,000, 10,000, 12,000, even 50,000 years ago.
No.
What's really going on is that our civilization has been whacked either by internal wars or a combination of wars and galactic and cosmic changes that crushed our civilization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But unless you understand where you've been, you cannot possibly understand where you're going. You can't.
Right.
And, a big part of it is to preserve Darwinian evolution theory. And that's why they bring in all this alien stuff. Oh, it's aliens that built the pyramids. It's aliens that set off nuclear weapons 12,000 years.
It was us and our ancestors.
It was us and our ancestors. Because once we figure out it was our ancestors that did it, Darwinian evolutionary theory goes out the window. And they can't tolerate that.
That's right. Yeah, and of course, it also changed the nature of what is a human being. How advanced are we? How long have we been around?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all critical. It's all part of the same package to convince us that we are not sentient beings created by God.
Yeah, and there's no intermediate species. And by the way, the eccentric chromosomes, the chromosome number, there's so many differences that make it impossible to create a human being just spontaneously by, we call point mutations. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So this idea of, I believe God recreates what I call punctuated complete recreation to show the fingerprints of God are over us. Now, what's going to happen probably in the next few years is the following. The globalists are in a panic. They don't know whether or not to go with Romney and Ryan, but I think they want to stick with Obama. And what you're saying is from Homeland Security is that at least your contact believes, or thinks that they've heard reports, that a financial disaster is coming in the early fall.
Right.
I've been stating that from time. It's very likely going to happen. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 4 days. It can be a week. They just want it long enough that we have, quote, a war president so Obama can try to slide through or even preempt the election.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all they need. They don't even need, and people say, well, it's martial law. It's like, well, that may mean some guy standing at the bank where you can't use your credit card for 5 days. It doesn't mean the full force of it.
It could be
very, very short.
Very short. It could also get out of their control.
Well, the problem is you shut down the power. Most people have 3 days of food and water, and then all of a sudden even the National Guard or all the armies on the planet can't control a population starving to death without water. And as I said before, one of the big problems they have is they have pumps and electrical backup generators for water supply, but they don't have for sewage. So they've never done real planning, and they, of course, never hardened the grid. Senator Lisa Murkowski made sure that the congressional law passed 3 years ago was blocked by her in the Senate. So what we have is a situation where we're not really prepared for any real Earth changes. We're not prepared for a tsunami, a New Madrid superquake. By the way, the New Madrid system is connected to the Gulf of Mexico and these sinkholes and to the Macondo drill area off the Gulf of New Orleans.
Right. Well, that's only been fairly recently recognized that that's the case, yes.
Yeah, there's a zigzag fault line connection between New Madrid and the Gulf of Mexico and this giant batholith, an ocean of oil underneath there. An ocean of oil. We're not talking about oil like, oh, well, we got a few thousand years of oil.
A century's worth for the entire planet at current consumption rates, easily.
Or much more than that. The problem, if we also change our consumption, and also if we change our consumption patterns, so we didn't use it for energy, we only use it for petrochemicals and fertilizer and plastics, you need a tiny fraction of that, which would, eventually we're going to get to save what we call fusion tokamak fusion reactors and other technologies, such as the Rand Corporation's plan in the 70s to take wind generators, literally taking the solar wind, generating microwave beams to ground stations to transmit along plasma lines or all over the planet. I mean, we got geothermal here in California. We don't need any nuclear reactors, same way as Japan. If they did geothermal just like they do in Iceland, they would never need nuclear reactors ever.
Right.
Ever. For billions of years. Literally, it's crazy that we even consider any other technology. Why do we do that? I don't understand it.
Well, geothermal is fairly easy. You just dig down deep enough and put water in there, and you get steam.
Well, they have a plant here in Hemet, which is just around the corner, another one in Temecula, huge giant plants that right here in California generate almost unlimited energy. So, yeah, so, people need to evaluate, we're not setting dates. We're telling them to get prepared. We're saying we have evidence that things are coming.
Absolutely.
But we're telling them...
Dr. Bill, I'm going to be bailing out of here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, again, yeah, I think you're on track. I'm hoping you're wrong.
Don't throw away leftovers.
Well, they went to a commercial, so what I'm going to do is upload this one, and then we're going to have a part 2. Alrighty then, because I don't want to lose this again. And I want you to be able to hear it. It's very important.